Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards, and this is the SlabStox FC show. Welcome in. I'm so glad that you're here, and it has been a while. We've closed the book on the World Cup. It's over. It's done. It was one of the best endings and a great final. But you know what? We had the holidays. I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a good and safe New Year. But if you're like me, I'm ready to talk some more soccer. I can never get enough. And so I'm so glad to be back with you all here, as we do have 3 leagues already back in action, if you can believe it. World Cup closes, and within just a few days, we have the leagues back up and running. Players are back with their clubs. We're rolling in France. We've got the Premier League in England, and then we've got La Liga in Spain going on right now. So I thought, what better way than to talk about the players, right? Talk about the players, the current form, the performances, and maybe kind of look a little bit here at how is that affecting their card market overall. But there was one name that kept coming up in our World Cup conversation, and he wasn't even at the World Cup. And if I give you one guess, I'm pretty sure you're going to get that name right. And that is the one, that is the only, that is Erling Haaland. And when this guy steps on the pitch, I feel like I'm playing a numbers game with my son. 19, 20, 21. Our number count is getting pretty high because he's putting in a ton of goals for Manchester City. He scored the brace against Leeds in the first game back after Christmas. He scored the only goal for Manchester City as they tied Everton, as they drew Everton and dropped points to the Arsenal. We'll talk about that later. But here is a guy who has just taken the Premier League by storm, and we all knew this was coming. But now sitting at 21 goals through 16 games. That really, if you think about it in context, we got 22 more games for him to play. What is the final goal count going to be? And I think that is kind of the important thing, because people are going to start to eye the record, right? The record, from what I can understand, Premier League now is 34 goals. Now, 2 men have 34 goals currently. Andy Cole, who did it for Newcastle in 1993 and 1994, and then Alan Shearer did it the very next year, 94 and 95 for Blackburn. So those 2 guys, 34. But if you're doing the math and he's already at 21 through 16 games, you're talking about Erling Haaland being the first Premier League striker to get into the 40s. Now, the all-time record. So if we're looking at the top flight of English football, the all-time record is going to be a tough one to beat. I believe that's held by Dixie Dean, and it's something like 60 goals. Now, that is pre-war, so like 1920-ish. 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there, I think he had 60 goals in the season. Don't see Haaland doing that, but you know what? I'm not going to count him out. You going to count out Erling Haaland? I'm not, because crazier things have happened. 60 goals, and for him, it could be possible. We'll just all have to wait and see how the run-in towards the end of the season occurs. But I wanted to pull a couple cards just to kind of see, okay, he's starting to score some goals right off the bat. What is that looking like? And I picked a different one today, one that we might not normally see. And this is the 2020 Topps Chrome. This is a Steve Aoki set. This is the Black Neon Future 2. This is out of 99. It is a PSA 10 that just sold on December 31st, so New Year's Eve day, for $500. It is a Pop 5, so I couldn't find any kind of correlating PSA 10s that go with it. But I thought, you know what, that's a pretty healthy sale in my head. So I went back and saw, could I find the raw sale? Now, this is a raw copy that sold back in June 24th, and it sold for $41. So you're talking, 10 times the amount, over 10 times the amount. You're talking a good, healthy sale on Haaland as he starts to produce pretty well. Again, I think, a lot of times we put a lot of stake, and we're going to talk about, one here at the end, but we're always looking at the teenagers, right? The Gavis, the Pedris, the Bellinghams, the Musialas. And I think Haaland's a different animal, and people know the quality, but when they get to 22, 23, 24, like, he's starting to put in back-to-back great seasons, goal-scoring seasons, and he's on a team that is is very good, has a ton of quality, a ton of depth, and I'm just kind of intrigued to see how this team is going to gel and mesh pushing towards the end of the season. I know they dropped points to Everton. I don't see that lasting very long, and that's why, as an Arsenal fan, you got to take your opportunities. You got to win when you can. You got to pick up the points when you can, and we're able to do that, but I don't think 7 points is enough. I think it's got to be double digits at least for me to even kind of take a breath, because it's a long season, and we'll just have to see where it goes. But when I'm looking at Erling Haaland, I always tend to look back at 2019 stuff. What is kind of that early Haaland stuff doing? And typically, sometimes I look at the base, just because the base has so much more in the pop counts, in the populations, and it gives you a better, there's more transactions that sometimes happen, so you can kind of see where prices are going. So I took the 2019 Topps Chrome. This is the UEFA Champions League. This is the Sapphire PSA 10, the Sapphire Edition PSA 10. And this just sold December 30th for $801. Now, this, again, is a pop of a 984, so under 1,000. And to kind of put that into perspective, I'm not a big collector outside of soccer. I do a little bit of non-sports in some of the Pixar stuff. That's been a huge find for me, and kind of just a fun way to kind of reminisce about childhood movies. But I don't do a whole lot of football. I don't do a whole lot of basketball, and I don't do a whole lot of baseball. But the fact that an Erling Haaland is under 1,000 in the pop counts, where you see some of these other players in other sports, Zion Williamson's, and when, I think the Prism came out like that, I think that card at PSA 10 is over 20,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a basketball guy, but I know it's in the thousands. And so to see a pop count as low as 984 still looks, it's high for when I look at it and see it, but it's not high in the broad scheme of things. But again, you can see in the sales kind of graph there, or Card Ladder Pro does a phenomenal job of kind of crunching those numbers, being able to kind of visually see it. I'm a visual learner. I got to be able to see it. And if you're looking at home, like you saw a pretty high price way back in October of 2022, where this was kind of creeping up into like the $1,300 range. And then it did kind of come down as the market kind of, adjusted. And you can kind of see a sharp spike here in the recent sales. And I think a lot of it has to do just with his production. People were wondering what's he going to look like when he comes off of his World Cup break, and 3 goals in 2 games, and he's flying high, and they're looking good. But I think today, I am an Arsenal fan. Come on, you Gunners. I hope I didn't just tune out the Chelsea fans, the Tottenham fans, the Man United fans, the Man City fans. Stay with me. Because I think, this idea of a lot of people are attracted to young, exciting players in football, attacking football. And I think what Arteta is building at Arsenal is kind of fun, attacking, freestyle football that a lot of people like to see. And so you got the 3-1 win over West Ham, and you had Martinelli, you had Nketiah, and you had Bukayo Saka score. And then again, we played Brighton, and our defense kind of looked a little suspect at the end of the game, but you had 4 goals, and you had Martinelli, Saka, Nketiah again, and then you had Odegaard score as well. And all of these players are under 25 years old. So they're a young team. They're talented, of course, but again, I'm going to stress that word young. They're 7 points clear in the Premier League, which is fantastic as a fan. Been loving to watch them play. 16 games, 14 wins, one loss, 1 draw. It's been phenomenal. But looking at the players and looking at their ages and what they're accomplishing also tells me that, this is something to kind of keep your eye on. If this core can stay together, and if you can add pieces to the puzzle, this could be a very well-balanced team for the long run. And these are just attacking players that we're talking about. We haven't, the William Salibas or even the Aaron Ramsdales at the back are not aging and looking to move on. Like, this is a young core team that I think people should be excited about. And even if you're not a fan, I think some of the players, I love listening to Bukayo Saka. I think he's one of the humblest guys in his interviews. He just had a great interview on NBC. Rebecca Lowe did one, and she, I think she ended it with, he's just a joy. He's just a joy to listen to. He's just a great kid, and he is a kid, and we'll talk about that. But Martinelli was the first one I wanted to look at. I pulled his 2021, 2022. This is the Panini Prism World Cup. This is the maroon, that card that was kind of for Qatar, the maroon, the color of Qatar, out of 22 because the FIFA World Cup was in 2022. And this sold pretty early, right into the World Cup, 29th of November. It sold for $519.60. And one of the things I always look at new releases is where is pricing going to go, and how long is it going to take for pricing to kind of, fall off? Because when you see those initial cards, people want those first cards, and they're willing to pay a little bit more, and then you tend to see prices kind of go down over time. I have been extremely impressed with Martinelli's cards out of that Prism World Cup because, yes, has there been some deterioration? Has there been some decrease in value? Yeah, that 519.60 raw is another one of those maroon out of 22 just sold December 29th for $450. But that's a $70 decline, but he's still producing extremely well. And to have such a low numbered card, I think bodes well for Gabriel Martinelli and his future. Now, the other one that I wanted to look at is Eddie Nketiah. He is the striker now. Gabriel was hurt. Got hurt with Brazil at the World Cup, hurt his knee and is out for a couple months. And so we had to find a replacement. He is the backup. This is one of the concerns that I have for Arsenal, not him, because he's capable of scoring goals, is that I looked at the lineup against Brighton, and you start to look at the substitutes, and there was really no second striker on the bench. So the difference between Man City and the difference between Arsenal, which is one of the things that I'm a little bit cautious about as people start talking about winning the league. And I like to kind of pump the brake. I'm not a pessimist, but I also look at how we have quality in our starting 11 and maybe 3 or 4 bench players, but we gotta fight for an FA Cup. We've got to fight in Europa, and we got to fight in the Premier League. That's a lot of games for the quality that we have, and I don't think we have the depth. We don't have the depth to match Manchester City. So I think it's going to be really important here this January to bring in some reinforcements. But here's Nketiah's kind of rookie card, 2019-2020. This is Panini Prism. This is the Violet Breakaway, and it's numbered out of, I believe it's 75. But you can see sales here, just in the past, June, end of June of 2022, this was a PSA 9 that sold for $85. August 28th, another PSA 9 did $75. And really after that Boxing Day, after the string of, getting on the field, knowing he would be the starter striker for Arsenal moving forward for the foreseeable future, not knowing what's going to happen in the transfer window, an SGC 9.5 did $100. And I've said it before, and I will say it again, I do just love color in SGC slabs. If you haven't seen it, or the violets, the blues, the maroons, the reds, the oranges, they just tend to pop on that black background, which I love to. I've kind of become more of a is it aesthetics? I love how cards look in cases, and so I definitely love to see those colors, that violet especially, and those pinks as they pop on the back of those SGC holders. But two really kind of young players for Arsenal to watch, and then the big one, Bukayo Saka, 21 years old, is really taking the league by storm. Last year he had a great season. I was kind of looking at it and going, okay, well, where can this go? What's his ceiling? What's Bukayo Saka's ceiling? And I don't know where it is. Premier League, 16 games, 6 goals, 6 assists. He just says all the right things in interviews. Great attitude. He goes to the World Cup. He plays in 4 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. He just continues to produce and impress. And I think for me, that's so great to see as a fan. When he does interviews, he's so humble. He's thankful of his teammates. He's thankful of the manager. He really just seems to love what he does, and that's to play football. And one of the cards that I really, really do enjoy, I just love the look of this card, is the 2020-2021. This is the impeccable. This is the Canvas Creations on-card auto out of 99. I just love the color that's behind Bukayo Saka, and I truly am a huge Saka autograph fan. His auto is awesome. I would love to know your comments. Who do you think has the best auto in soccer currently? And I think he's got to be up there. Just the script of Saka with the 7 in the circle of the S is just great to me. And a couple sales here, you do tend to see that it is on the rise. November 20th, so the day the World Cup started, an auto, a Canvas Creation out of 99 sold for $425 raw. Fast forward to December 5th, at auction, this another raw one sold for $520. And then this one sold, so it stayed pretty similar in the month of December, but the 29th of December, it sold for $520.69. But 21 years old and on a team that is, if you can keep the core together, it's looking pretty darn good for the future. And for Arsenal, Arteta has done a nice job. And I think for me, it's been one that is humbling as you see Arteta do so many great things with Arsenal. And I was one right off the bat. I'll be the first one to admit, I was like, I think we got to can him. I think we got to fire Arteta. What is he doing? Why are we losing, all these players? But, he had a vision, and Edu and the rest of the team at Arsenal kind of stuck with him and gave him time, which I don't think a lot of clubs are willing to do these days, is give managers time and resources if they can afford it. And here we are in January and already at 43 points, which to me is baffling. The last one though, and I think it is, you can talk Saka, you can talk Martinelli, Nketiah, you can put a list together. Martin Odegaard, 24 years old. You look at getting him from Real Madrid for, I think it was about 40 million. Complete steal. He is so quality in his decision-making, his technical ability on the ball, his vision, and some of the passes that he finds and he creates. I have been so impressed, and I'm so glad that he's a permanent member of Arsenal. I think he is playing at a top elite level right now, which also is interesting to me. If you think Odegaard and you think Erling Haaland and you think Norway and you think 2026 World Cup, United States. So I'm hopeful. I think they've got quality in Norway. They could do some things. But here is an early auto. This is the Spectra auto, Spectra signatures out of 199, 2016, 2017. So we're going back a little ways. But I do really like this card. One, it's early. One, it's numbered. But he was that wonder kid. I think 16 years old. He was moving to 16 or 17 to Real Madrid. So very early on, he was kind of pegged as that wonder kid, and he's really kind of come and blossomed at Arsenal and done an extremely good job. But back in August 25th of 2022, a raw copy of this auto sold for $83. Fast forward to New Year's Eve day, December 31st, another raw copy sold for $110. So you are seeing an increase in them, but I don't think a lot of people were really clued in on Odegaard. And now you're starting to see everything that he's doing, his quality, and people, especially Arsenal fans, like for me as well, I'm on the lookout for certain cards. Maybe not just the Spectre card, but certain cards I'm looking at saying, okay, do I want to grab these before, they kind of hit that next ceiling, or they become kind of players that everybody wants to collect, not just the Arsenal fans. But Odegaard, just quality. It's been great. I know this seems like the Arsenal show. It's not, I promise, because I think we really do need to talk about another player who has really come into form here after Christmas break. And this is minus, again, Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Man United, Ronaldo is playing in Saudi Arabia now, and Ten Hag has this opportunity as the manager, good run of form. Man United has kind of cracked the top four for the first time this year, and I think it's going to lean heavily on Marcus Rashford. Now, Marcus Rashford is 25. He hadn't been getting a ton of time at Man United just because, where are you going to play Cristiano Ronaldo last year? And so now kind of that open space, he's going to have that opportunity. Had a goal in their first game back after the break. Had a goal against Wolves, which was interesting. If you saw it, he scored a goal in the second half, 1-0 win against Wolves. But it was interesting because he didn't start the game, right? He disciplinary reasons. It seems that it's coming out now that he had kind of missed a meeting or overslept. Hearing Marcus Rashford in interviews for a number of years now, like, it was surprising to see that he was benched for disciplinary reasons. I was intrigued, but you know what? Mistakes happen. He even almost said, let's push it behind us. We got a job to do and push forward. So it got me to thinking, what are his cards doing? And there's some affordable autos out there. His Revolution from 2020, 2021 autograph, just kind of a run of sales here. October 28th, this was a raw copy that did about $60. November 20th, at the start of the World Cup there, $84.99. December 19th, it did $80. And then another one sold December 31st for $80. So I think people are kind of, where does his market go? It'll be interesting. He is in his mid-20s now, already 25. Still very, very young, a lot of football left. But he just seems to kind of have, hit the ground running, playing extremely well. I'm interested to see, is he kind of the focal point for Ten Hag as he looks to kind of revamp that Man United. And I really like him as a manager as well. I mean, he did some phenomenal things at Ajax. And so just to kind of see what he's going to be able to do if given the time and given the resources. And we know that Man United is good about bringing players in, but can they bring in the right players? I think that's going to be the biggest question as we move forward. But Marcus Rashford doing some great things. It's not all about Arsenal, so don't worry. I do want to talk one more card that I think is important. And one of the things I really like to do if you're doing research, and maybe you probably already know this, I do love to look at cards that are the same card. If they're graded, you look at the serial numbers that sell at 2 different points, just to get a good indication of, okay, what did it sell for and what is it selling for again? And I found that in this 2018-2019 Topps Chrome. This is the Red Wave Refractor out of 10. It is a BGS 9 of Marcus Rashford. So 2018-2019. I think this is his first base set year for Topps Chrome. He had a Future Stars in 2017, I believe. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. I make mistakes. As a teacher, I used to tell the kids all the time, hey, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it. But I think I'm correct in that. But 2018-2019, that Red Wave out of 10 sold February 9th, so very, very early on in 2022 for $227.50. The same card, the same BGS 9, sold January 2nd of this year for $383. So you saw over $150 increase over the calendar year, but it is an extremely short print. It's only out of 10. And with his form and where Man United go from here is anyone's guess. And so you definitely see the increase in price. Now, the other one, and I know you're going to see that he plays for Arsenal or has played for Arsenal, but, we're going to switch leagues now. So if you're completely and totally into the Premier League, that is phenomenal. I watch the Premier League every week, but what I do try to do is understand and see what is going on in the leagues around the Premier League. So what's going on in France, what's going on in Spain, what's going on in Italy, what's going on in, I know I forgot one now, Germany, Bundesliga. But Florian Balogun is a loanee from Arsenal. So he's in France right now. Stade de Reims, I think is where he plays. I hope I got my French right. I am not a language person. Some of you who listen to the World Cup, you could be the first ones to be like, I'm going to do my best for you. But Balogun is a striker. He's 21 years old, and he's already put in 10 goals this season, which ties him for third in France. He's behind Mbappe. He's behind Neymar, and he's tied with Alexander Lacazette for third in goals scored in France. So that's pretty good for a 21-year-old who is on loan from Arsenal. And for me, it's just one to kind of keep on your radar. So one of the cards that I throw out, it's not numbered. It's just kind of a value. Like if you for me, if I see these cards in value boxes, I'm picking them up. One, I do love the look of cracked ice. That's just me. So it's his 2021, 2022 Panini Prism Premier League red cracked ice. And I love that it is his rookie. But I love the red cracked ice because, of course, in this picture, it is a color match. I'm a big fan. I do just love the look of color matches. But you could pick this one up December 30th. One sold for $10 at a fixed price, and then another one sold on New Year's Eve day for $14. I'm interested. There hasn't been any recent sales of numbered stuff from Balogun, but it would be very interesting to see kind of if he continues to score goals, if he continues to play well, what that looks like moving forward. Now, keep a lookout. Now, this is my segment of they might not have any cards yet, but maybe write their names down because, they might be in a position very, very soon to get cards or maybe just not mainstream cards. So let's talk about two of the breakout or some great performances that were happening in France here in the last week or so. I'm going to go with the name, so bear with me. Elise Benseguir, I think is how you pronounce it. If I butchered it, I'm so sorry. But he's the 17-year-old kid from Monaco, comes in off the bench, scores 2 goals, and the second one was from outside the box, was an absolute beauty of a goal. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. 17 years old, playing for Monaco, and here he just nabs a brace, gets the win, was looking real good, 17 years old. So I think it's one to write down. Monaco is usually in contention for, a Europa League spot or even a Champions League spot. And maybe, as you look at, some of the Merlin product that sometimes comes out, you get some of those rookies that are in no other product. So he might be one to look for. And the other one is Hugo Nketiah, or no, it's not Nketiah, Ekitike, I believe. Sorry. Ekitike, PSG, did play for Monaco. Monaco? Did he play? No. Got the big transfer, so I apologize. I'm missing. I know he plays for PSG right now. Can't remember where he played before that. So my mind's my thoughts are escaping me right now. But 20 years old, is playing for PSG and has really scored all of his goals right before the World Cup and assists and after the World Cup. So he's been in really good form in the past, right leading up to the World Cup, and then post World Cup, 2 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games. Playing with Mbappe, playing with Neymar, playing with Messi. If he's going to get a good chunk of time and good run, 20-year-old, you're going to start to see him pop up in products as well. So just keep a lookout. Those are kind of my guys that, just jot their names down. Maybe if you see PSG playing, did Hugo get on the score sheet? Same thing with Monaco. Did Ben Seguir get on the score sheet? Maybe kind of track them. That's what I kind of do. I just write names of guys who I like, who I want to kind of start to follow. So those are 2 of my names. Take them for what you will. Don't have any card prices or anything like that, but I thought I'd leave you with that today. But I do want to leave you with the table today, right? We got to talk about the Premier League table. And look who is at the top. I am over the moon with how the season has started. 16 games, 14 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. And just in great form, as we continue to win, 7 points clear. But like I said before, it does make me nervous. I'm not one of those, head in the clouds. We're going to win it. We're winning the league. 16 games in, we're not even halfway home yet. We've got 22 more games to go, and that's a lot of games. 2 of those games also are against Manchester City. So, 7 points, is great. But when you have to play the number 2 team in Man City, who is extremely good, extremely deep, it's going to be a battle all the way through. And we're young, as I've said before, so it's going to be interesting. I still think Manchester City is putting themselves in a great position to make a fantastic run to the finish line. I hope that there's some stumbles along the way as an Arsenal fan, but I don't know if that's going to happen. The interesting thing is 3 and 4. Newcastle are hanging around at the top of the league. And the interesting thing to me is I wonder what that team looks like with Alexander Isak being back. He was their massive signing over the summer as he came from Spain, the striker who got hurt and has been out since. So him coming back, I think, is key as they continue to look and to improve. And at 34 points and sitting in 3rd place, I think that's big. Man United cracking into that top 4 is big too. That win against Wolves, that 1-0 win, kind of propelled them above Tottenham against Spurs. Spurs kind of lost, took one on the chin, I think at home against Aston Villa this weekend. So Unai Emery is back in the Premier League as manager of Aston Villa and was able to lead them to a 2-0 win. Liverpool, taking the loss against Brentford today, 3-1. You had Chelsea drawing again over the weekend as well. And so just a lot of movement, a lot of teams that you maybe wouldn't have expected being in the top 4. I think, we're into a really interesting fight for 3 and 4, I believe. I do think that it's going to be Arsenal, Man City, or Man City, Arsenal at the top. And then it's going to be who can kind of slide into those other Champions League spots, and then who's going to fight it out for Europa League. But I think we could see some pretty high-profile clubs that have been very successful here in the past couple of years kind of miss out on European football, which then sends it into a different story as you try to convince players to come play with no European football. But we'll get there. The one thing that I do love, again, if you're a football fan, I love the drama and I love kind of the end of the year. But the interesting thing here is I split them up for a reason in this way, 13 through 20. So if Leicester sitting at 13th place has 17 points, Southampton is currently at the bottom of the league, bottom of the table at 12 points. 5 points separate 13 through 20. And the thing that I love most about this is it's, in American sports, the football, the basketball is, you fill in the blank, tank for. And then who are you tanking for? Who do you want to be that next star quarterback, that next game changer in the NBA? It's easy to lose and have better odds to get that first overall pick. You lose in the Premier League, you go down. So I'm interested to see what do Leicester, from Leicester to Southampton, what are they going to do in the transfer window? Transfer window opened up January 1. We're going to have so many opportunities to talk about signings through the month, but I think it's just really important to see what these teams do as they try to avoid and stave off relegation, because to lose and to get bounced from the Premier League is never a fun thing. But we have so much to look forward to. I am so thankful for 2022. So thankful for the World Cup, the road to it, and the World Cup shows themselves. I'm so thankful for you. But I really want to know, 2023 is here. What are you most excited for in the football world? So what are you most excited for? If you listened this far, drop it in the comments below. 2023, what are you most excited for? That's what I got for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a fantastic week. Make it a great week, and we will see you all next time. I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards. We'll see you later.